Good evening, Hub Nation. Welcome to another episode of 5 Elements of Success Player Development Series. I'm Roger Nick, your host and founder of Junior Golf Hub. We got a great show for you this evening, but before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the Ethan Allen Preparatory who's watching the show tonight. Hey, stay safe, stay inside. It's cold out. We got about 18 inches of snow. Maybe not 18 inches, but maybe 12. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that snow day today. So, and thanks for watching. So, stay tuned. But anyway, going forward, as always, we want to make sure that we keep this interactive. Send those questions in, YouTube chat, email 5elements at the Golf Performance Center. We want to hear from you so we can help you get better, but also help us get better at this show as well. So again, great show for you this evening. We got Kyle Panek coming in talking about nutrition in the off season and what you need to do for planning and improving your game through nutritional habits. So looking forward to that. Our pop quiz question tonight is, how many calories do you burn in a round of golf walking and carrying your bag? Let me repeat that. How many calories do you burn in a round of golf walking and carrying your bag? I think that's a really good question.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I'm very curious to see how many people get that. So Kyle, stay tuned later in the show. Obviously, we're going to be giving away a prize. That prize this evening is going to be RX bars, so excited about that. Put those nutritional bars in your golf bag. That's going to help you on the golf course, burning those calories as you're burning those calories. So Kyle will be talking about that a little bit later on in the show. But Tyler, before we get to that, let's talk about what we talked about last week. Smart goals.
Yeah, last week we had Dr. Josh Brandt back on the show to attack off-season goal setting. So Dr. Brandt really helped us dive a little deeper into how we set proper goals. We use SMART goals here at GPC. He also talked to us about a few techniques that we can use to manage our emotions out there on the golf course, some breathing techniques and things, just to kind of keep our mind clear as we're building those mental skills here this off season. So again, it's a great show last week. It's available on juniorgolfhub.com/5elements if you want to check it out.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate that. Again, Tyler Campbell, Director of Performance here at the Golf Performance Center. We also have live on the show Dennis Hillman via satellite. So Dennis is on special assignment at home, got snowed in. So Dennis, welcome to the show, Director of Coaching. And I'm going to start with you, Dennis, because obviously right now we're going into off-season training and talking about that. And these golfers are being asked to do a lot more deliberate practice and a lot more, I think, engagement of the brain, body, and what they're doing physically. How's that affecting the young athletes as you see it as a coach here?
Yeah, it's really. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, great. Just making sure. Yeah, so it's so important. To me, it's always been such an important a part of this whole process is nutrition, just getting the right fuel in your system. So this time of year, as Kyle's going to talk about it, it's really important. They're trying to get stronger and build muscle. So, and not to mention, trying to have, the energy to go back down and study at night. So there's a lot of demands on the system when you talk about, the time in golf and the time in the gym and the time studying. So to me, it's always been so important. On the performance side, I've always asked our golfers, if you were training for the Olympics in 2 or 3 years, what fuel would you put in your body? And a lot of times you had an answer that, it might be different. So why don't we treat golf like that? Golf is a sport. And, if you want to play at the highest level or reach your goals, you got to fuel up properly.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And it's actually so interesting because when you talk about, junior athletes and what they're eating and their eating habits, I mean, listen, we're all guilty. I know I'm a chocoholic. I'll confess right now. But it's hard always to eat 100% the right food. So we can't ask juniors to be perfect. But what are you really asking them? And I guess Kyle will talk more about that, but you're in the performance zone, and you're asking them to come here and put 100% effort in.
Exactly. I think it starts with awareness. It starts with education, like we're going to be doing here tonight, and we do with our athletes year-round. But, we're in the off-season in the gym. We're working on building maximal strength and power. And really, to reap the benefits of the efforts that you're putting in your workouts, you need to be fueling your body with the right nutrients. And so, I'm looking forward to having Kyle on here in just a sec, just to elaborate on what that means, where do we start, and what's it look like. So, what do you say we introduce Kyle?
In just a second, we're going to talk just a little bit longer because I think one of the things that from fueling up the body, and you see quite often, is the athletes undereat, and again, Kyle will talk about this. but they're burning a lot of calories. I think one of the things that people don't understand is golf is a rigorous sport it's a ballistic sport. So you're burning calories, you're walking and so forth out on the golf course. You're coming into the gym and you're putting them through a workout that's going to get them built up for those kind of things. Are you asking them for a certain calorie intake, or do you, or certain maybe aspect of that, whether it's going to be the fat intake or protein intake or carbs?
Doubt. Well, again, I won't steal all of Kyle's thunder, but ultimately, yes, we want the athlete, based on their goals, again, what they have in the gym, and we want them to have an awareness of what they're bringing into their body. So both from a quality standpoint, but also a quantity standpoint. And so if they have goals to increase muscle mass, get stronger this winter, it's going to take a lot more focus nutritionally to make that happen. And I think it's kind of eye-opening for athletes to understand how hard it is to eat more food.
Right.
And at times the right food. Obviously, again, we all have our vice. We all know what tastes good. But sometimes understanding that in order to reach my goals, maybe I need to sacrifice and maybe look at that percentage a little bit to be a little bit more efficient at getting there. But yeah, all in all, we want an awareness of the quality of food as well as the quantity of food that we're putting in our body relative to our goals.
Yeah, and a lot of times our young athletes are struggling with gaining weight, and obviously in the off-season training and the modality that you guys put them through on the physical side, it's they have to eat enough, they have to have enough caloric intake to really build muscle, and I think that's one of the things I know Kyle will be talking about. But that is a struggle to, like DeChambeau, Bryson just went through this transformation last year.
He would talk often about how, and he got a lot of press about how much food he had to eat, and it was obviously I would put him on the extreme of one end of the spectrum, but it showed that when he took in more energy, more calories, that his body responded in the gym just as much. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it showed in his play as well, and it showed in the outcomes as well. And Dennis, I'm sure you see that as a golf coach, seeing what Bryson DeChambeau did, how he transformed his body, and he was able to gain more yardage and increase his stats. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We know strength. This is a sport, and strength is a huge advantage. It's almost a necessity at this point. At least a certain baseline of strength to have the clubhead speed to compete at high levels. We know that the highest clubhead speeds are higher in D1 college golf than they are on the PGA Tour. So you've got to train like an athlete, and you got to fuel up properly, which Kyle's going to talk to everybody about.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, let's introduce Kyle Panek. I see Kyle behind you there. You got Play Like a Champion, the Go Irish. Is that kind of getting ready for Clemson Tigers and Notre Dame coming up, or is this just your mantra?
We're getting ready. It's also my mantra as well.
All right. Well, let's talk about nutrition. So let's talk about what you have for these athletes for off-season nutritional planning.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for having me back. It's been a while. So a lot of times people come up to me and say, Kyle, where do I start with all this? How do I get stronger? How do I gain strength? How do I gain size? Where do I begin? All right. So we want to look at a few different things. First things first, we need to look at calories. All right. Calories in, calories out. And we do that all the time. We want to make sure that we're eating more calories than we're actually burning. All right. Then we want to look at different macronutrients, and I have kind of built different things for these macronutrients: the fuel, the build, the boost, and the protect. All right. So those four key factors are going to come back up as we go on. But how do we find calorie maintenance? All right. There's a few different ways. One of the ways is a good estimate that we can times your current body weight by 16. That'll give me a rough estimate on your maintenance. Then I have an athlete that wants to gain weight. Perfect. We need to add 500 calories to that. For example, 160-pound athlete comes to me. We times that by 16. He gets around 2,500 calories. Add 500 to that, around 3,000. So every single day, that athlete needs to eat 3,000 calories.
Now, Kyle, real
every
quick,
day.
how many meals throughout the day am I expected to take those 3,000 calories in? That's a lot of food. If I'm not used to eating that much food.
Well, I can tell you where I get mine. I get a row of Oreos and 2 scoops of ice cream, and I got the 3,000 calories right there.
Yeah, right. And this time of year, it's okay to do that, especially after a hard workout. But how many meals am I going to eat? At least 4, maybe even 6. That's seems like a full-time job to me. And back when I wanted to gain all this strength and power and size, I am sitting there, I'm eating 6 meals a day, and I'm kind of forcing food in. And that's kind of almost what it has to be if you want to reach that level of strength and power, and then transferring over your golf swing next year. It's really important that you have to just get those calories in.
Very good.
So
I love it.
Yeah. So Kyle. So in order to doing now all of that, right? And obviously we're talking about getting these athletes to play or perform at their best. And I think one of the things, and I know we talk about this on the fitness side, it's not necessarily how you look, it's how you perform, right? And what you're trying to gain from doing this. So is it all about, structuring your diet around what you're asked to do in the gym and obviously on the golf course too, right? So there's that kind of balance of where am I at? Am I traveling? Am I at home? So how do you balance that?
Yeah, absolutely. It is difficult because when you're traveling, there's a lot of different options, and you don't really know what one to go for. What we're going to think about is really 4 different things. I really want to hit my protein requirement for the day, and that's going to be your main factor, right? Now, what happens when we go in the gym and we lift a lot of weights? We break down muscle tissue. It's not just going to grow back magically, right? But I need to build back in the protein, or what I like to call build, into my diet. And it's all you're going to do to get that number times your body weight by 0.8. That's going to give me, for a 160-pound athlete, 128 grams per day. All right. Now, a lot of people are like, "Whoa, that's a lot of protein." Is that going to mess with me?
That's doing some quick math. That's about 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If I'm eating 4 to 5 meals a day. So that's okay. Very good. That gives me some perspective.
Yeah. Is that also one of the reasons, Kyle, that you recommend maybe like the recovery shakes and things like that, or snack?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to get a meal replacement in. When you're full from that piece of chicken that you just ate, but you got to eat another 2 hours and you're still not hungry, it's a good thing to add in the protein shake and the RX bars and stuff that's quick on the go. And also when you're traveling, that's a good thing to take with you. The protein powder that's easily, you can take that jar with you wherever you go. And then a nice bag of RX bars is always a good addition to that.
I think one thing that I'm getting a sense of here is the consistency at which the athletes need to participate in this, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting the vibe that this isn't something I can do for a day or two and be like, all right, I'm good. I need to be continually really planning ahead and thinking about what it's going to take to make. And then once you get into a bit of a routine, I imagine it's going to become a little bit easier to get comfortable with what foods are going to make you feel a certain way, right? And from an energy standpoint.
Yeah, you'll definitely find out what foods are right for you, what protein powder is right for you. There's 1,000 of them out there. But it really comes back to that consistency. If you do this for 1 day or 1 week, that's great, but it's not going to give you the size and strength that you need over the winter. Now, again, we only have 3-4 months, right? And we can go down to Florida and play tournaments, stuff like that. So we don't have a lot of time. Right? I really like to overemphasize, we need to do this for a solid 3 to 4 months in order to see a change, or a lasting change. And after that 3 to 4 months is over, then it's just a maintenance thing after that, right? Because now I already know, okay, I know how many grams of protein I need. I know all the stuff as well, like all the rest of the macronutrients that we're going to go over. Now I can just kind of alternate to my maintenance phase. Now I just drop down my calories, or I can bring them back up if it's tournament day. Again, tournament day is a little bit different. Where we're going to eat a little bit more over that extra 500 calories. It'd be like around 3,500 for that 160-pound athlete. Because again, we're burning around 1,400 calories in a golf round walking with a bag on the back. So if we want to maintain our bulk and our strength oriented nutrition here, you have to continue with that even during a tournament.
Yeah, Kyle, that's a really good point, and I'm sure, Dennis, you see this a lot with the golf athletes as you're traveling or going to tournaments. Well, good nutrition also leads to better recovery and better, kind of thinking on the golf course. And if you're just talking about burning 1,400 to 1,500 calories around walking, that's a lot of calories, plus you're up, moving around all day, so you're probably burning more than that. So there's probably quite a bit of calories you're burning. But Dennis, from that standpoint, how much of a lull do you see, the young athletes go out there if they're not eating enough calories to sustain through a round and then even practicing too?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to support your system in so many ways. So just to have the mental focus and stamina to stay, engaged and focused for 5 hours on the course, and then maybe a little practice after, not to mention all the things that Kyle's talking about this time of year, trying to grow and build muscle. You got to be consistent. I mean, my question I was thinking of for Kyle is, we see a lot of athletes that just have a hard time eating, what you're recommending. They just can't quite do it. What do you say to those athletes? Is there a period where they have to just force a little bit extra food in and kind of get their system used to eating more, or how would they go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very difficult, and I went through it, during my college years as well. So I always tell them that make it almost like a secondary job for them. Obviously they're student first, then athlete, then they need to focus on their nutrition. But it's like another job. But I say, okay, I need you to get in 4 meals a day. You're going to have to get used to it. It's different for you. You have to put it on the plate. Whatever's on the plate, you're going to eat it. And you have to do that 3 more times today on top of a few different snacks and shakes in there. And shakes are huge. Shakes is like a little secret weapon, because you can throw 2 scoops of protein powder in there. You can get your peanut butter and your almond butter, and you can throw some honey and coconut oil in there. You can get a lot of calories. It could be a calorically dense shake, and you're just drinking it. So your stomach's not going to get terribly full after that, because it's liquid. So
one thing I would say, one thing I would second that, and let me add that I think just like anything new, Dennis, it can be a little uncomfortable at first, right? So we refer to progressive overload in the gym, where we progressively increase the load to ultimately lift, our goal weight or whatever it might be. Same thing here nutritionally, where, we might not just wake up the next day and just start, taking in 1,000 extra calories a day. Maybe we start out with an extra 200 to 400 calories a day. And then, so if it doesn't happen overnight, very rarely will it. I think having that ultimate goal of saying, okay, what's going to get me there? Bam, my body's adapting. Now all of a sudden I'm a little more comfortable, both in my routine, but also what I feel like on a day-to-day basis to get those calories in that I know that I need. So.
Absolutely. It really helps when the athlete kind of keeps their diet the same, and they track kind of how many calories they're actually getting in. They're kind of shocked at how low it is. But then I want to slightly increase that. I don't necessarily want to jump to that, multiply it by 1,600 and add 500 after that right away. But we'll build up to that usually around kind of September, November, through that, maybe October-ish, as the season's going to the end. So it's a good way to start the increase of calories slowly in October, where we need them, but we don't at the same time, and we really need them by December and January. So then the athlete should be used to eating that much by then.
Hey, Kyle, I have a question for you. What if I'm an athlete that I don't feel like eating. I'm not hungry. I don't feel like I need anything. And I think that's one of the things, we hear a lot with junior athletes is, I just don't feel like I'm hungry. So obviously they've got certain goals. What do you do about that? How do you get that person, or that junior athlete to consume something when they feel like, I'm just not hungry. I don't want to eat anything.
Yeah, it's really hard when an athlete is like that, and sometimes that happens. So number one, we want to look at let's go back to the gym. How hard am I pushing myself? Because if I'm pushing myself as hard as I can, I'm lifting as much weight as possible with good form and all, it should be very taxing. That's going to make the body relatively hungrier than normal. If that's the case, if they are pushing themselves, they check all the boxes, right? They're doing great. Then we have to look at kind of other things. Are they hydrated enough? Are they getting in different nutrients and stuff like that, where things might be telling their body not to eat? Sometimes when you're dehydrated, you're like lethargic. You don't want to eat. You don't really want to do anything. Your brain can't really function. We got to look at other factors after that.
Yeah. So, and that brings me to another question, which is again, young athletes, young kids. I want to eat Swedish fish. I want to eat goldfish. I want to eat waffles, and I want to eat pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes. Getting carbohydrates and getting things like that into my system, is that a bad thing necessarily, or do you feel like there's a place for that? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, there's absolutely a place for it, and this is the time of year to do it. I enjoy pancakes myself, and it's a good way to sneak in extra calories and stuff like that. As a junior, you're not going to eat perfect. Even myself, I don't eat perfect. I like to think 80% of your diet is good. It's solid, right? The other 20% are left for fun foods. And especially if the athlete is a little older and they're really pushing themselves in the gym, I like to have those cheap foods around workout time. Number one, it's going to give you great fuel for your workout, or after your workout for recovery. But it's a good time to sneak that in.
Yeah.
80-20.
Cool.
Yeah, so I go back and I reflect on watching
80-20.
80-20. 80-20. All right, I got
Oreos.
80 Oreos?
No, not 80
great.
Oreos.
No, but Usain Bolt, so obviously the fastest human on the planet. I remember in his documentary, or a documentary I saw or something, he was talking about, before every race he would hit the bags of Skittles, and that was one of his things that he did. And he could never eat enough food. I mean, when he was training for the Olympics and so forth. But every race, everywhere, I mean, it was always he'd get that extra calories in, but that extra boost as well from that the Skittles and the candy.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for Skittles.
I see Dennis eating Skittles all the time.
I used to love them when I was a junior. I gotta be honest.
Awesome.
To be honest, I mean, they're great for during workout, before workout. I like Sour Patch before my workout, or Sour Candy before my workout, and that really helps me give that boost in the gym. Marshawn Lynch used to do Skittles as well before a football game, during football games. So that's the fast digesting carbs. It's going to hit the system really quick, give you energy really, really fast.
Yeah, so we have the PNC Championship this weekend, the father-son or parent-child tournament this weekend. Obviously, the big news is Charlie Woods playing with Tiger Woods, and you've got that out there. What do you think Charlie Woods, 11-year-old, what do you think he's eating, tomorrow night, pre-first round?
I'm thinking a nice filet.
Yeah, right? Hopefully.
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. There you go, Dennis. I love it.
Yeah, right? Well, hopefully that nice filet and some pasta or some rice, something with a lot of carbohydrates to get them all fueled up for the next day.
Yeah, that's a big day. Obviously, a lot of energy being spent. It's like he's, the cameras are on him, and I think it's going to be fun to watch. And my money's on those two. I think to win this weekend for that. So I think it's really interesting. But Kyle, from a nutritional standpoint, what are the things that we want to leave the audience with tonight? What do they need to know about nutrition planning for the off season? Give us your golden nuggets here.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to my protein intake. Again, we want to multiply your body weight by 0.8. And there's 3 other macronutrients out there. The other one is fat, which is relatively important. It protects the body, number one. It's secondary fuel. So when all those carbohydrates run out, it needs some kind of energy, so it's going to go to fat. And I like that athlete to be anywhere between 80 and 120 grams in the off season. Now, obviously, it depends on the athlete. If the athlete's a little leaner, we can push it to the 120, and so on and so forth. The last bit of macronutrient is the carbohydrate, aka fuel. We've talked about fuel a lot this episode here. Basically, you just kind of take the rest of the calories left, divide them by 4, and then it shoots out a number. And that number for that 160-pound athlete, if he's eating 128 grams of protein, he's eating 100 grams of fat, he's going to eat 413 grams of carbohydrates per day. And that's your pancakes. That's where we can fit in the Oreos and all the good stuff throughout the day. Now, the last thing that we also need to focus on are the micronutrients, or the boost, is what I like to call it. It gives you a boost, number one, in the gym and on the court. So it's all your fruits and vegetables. You can't forget about those. You know, a lot of times it kind of get lost in the calories and stuff, and we forget about the fruits and the veggies. All right, so I like to kind of fill it up to my fist. We go 2 fists worth at each meal per day, whether it be fruits or vegetables. That's going to get you all the micronutrients, all the performance nutrients that you need throughout the day. But again, to maintain brain function and all that stuff. So
very cool.
That's kind of how we look at kind of building a plan for yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great stuff, Kyle. As always, it's great to have you on talking nutrition and learning from you. So this stuff will be on the site.
Yep.
So everything you have there, but there are some other things, that you talk about, like, little snacks and so anything that you would recommend for the kids?
So I threw up there my one of my go-to snacks that I really enjoy. It's called the Energy Bites. I put these in the newsletter probably once a year for the last 6 years. We've made them down at main campus. We'll have to make a few more for everybody down there at Ethan Allen Prep for a good snow day like this. But it's very easy to make. And the recipe's right there on your screen. It's basically just oats, some protein powder, some peanut butter, throw some chocolate chips in there, throw them in the freezer, and dig in. So good Energy Bite recipe there. And again, you can access that obviously on this episode, but we'll throw it up on the hub too.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, how about you, Dennis, on the golf side? Anything that one of your go-tos when it comes to Energy Bites, supplements?
I'm big on the trail mix. I've been doing the trail mix for a long time. I think Kyle can chime in, but I think it's got a pretty good mix of those macros, right, in one handful. Keep you going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a good mix.
That's awesome. I always got to throw mine in. Mine's are Snicker bar, Whole Foods. I got to have the Snicker bars. And,
all natural.
That's all natural foods.
Yeah, that's got everything you need too.
Everything you need right there in one thing.
You're
so
not you
I like
hungry.
that. Speaking of hunger, it's almost dinner time, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks so much. Kyle, thanks for being on tonight and talking nutrition.
Yeah, it was
and
a pleasure.
we'll see you. We'll see you soon. But Andrew, do we have any questions from the audience?
We do have one question. How do you explain golfers who look really out of shape but still play very well?
Wow, I think that's a great question. I think this goes back to what we say all the time, Tyler. Fitness and performance are two different things. You can have an athlete that comes in different shapes and sizes, so it's not necessarily how you look is how you're going to perform. Now, I would say there's probably some things there that you would also maybe say, and you can say them, but that you may limit yourself if you're an athlete that's out of shape, and maybe not doing yourself any favors. But
I would just say that you're giving yourself the best opportunity of performing your best if you're fueling your body with the best nutrients. It's that simple. So, athletes come in all shapes and sizes. Doesn't mean that you can't perform at a high level, but if you want to edge up on your competition, nutrition is certainly something you can control.
Yeah, in the Maserati engine, you don't want to put
regular
sugar water in it, right?
Chocolate milk, that wouldn't be good. I like chocolate milk, though.
Yeah.
That's all that we have for questions, but we do have a winner for the pop quiz.
All right.
And the winner is YouTube user Gilfev.
Gil, all right, Gil, way to go.
Gil,
Get some RX bars. Hopefully they'll fuel you up like they fuel our young athletes up, and you'll be ready to go. All right. So that's pretty much it. Next week, we've got a little maybe disruption in the schedule next week, so we'll stay tuned on the day that's going to be going out there. So I'll make sure that we'll keep you informed on what day we're going to be airing next week. But also next week, we're going to be talking about off-season equipment check. So we'll be checking in on your equipment as well.
We have one more question that came in late.
Whoop, hang on.
If I'm working out before dinner and by the time I am done working out, I'm eating, should I have a protein shake if I'm eating dinner after?
That's a great question.
Kyle,
Kyle, I'm going to leave that one to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say eat your dinner first, and then after dinner, have it as a little dessert for yourself.
Yeah, and it could also depend on where you are and what you're doing, right? I mean, maybe you need the calories. And
It's a good point. Absolutely, you could be you can have it as your side for your dinner as well. Especially if you want to bulk up and get strong. I guess different times of the year you might just eat your dinner and then have it after. But maybe during the winter or after a big workout, heavy workout, I'll get that shake with my dinner.
awesome. Again, next week we're going to be talking, equipment, the check-in, off-season check-in, and if anything's changed with the equipment, that kind of gapping there. So we'll be talking with Nick Novak and Gabe Carr-Harris. So we're excited about having those guys on next week. And as always, want to thank our sponsors, Junior Golf Hub. Make sure you're downloading that app. Get that app in a pocket. Get those coaches there. Find that great fit for you. I think it's going to help you. So again, also one of the things out there is doing the self-assessment. Make sure you're getting your self-assessment and know what you need to do. This is a perfect time for you to look at that and create a plan for the winter time as well. If you've done that, try out our coach-guided assessment. Reach out to us. Again, 5 elements at thegolfperformancecenter.com. Also, Ethan Allen Preparatory, achieving your greatness in the classroom, on the golf course, and in life. As always, get after it and enjoy your journey. Thanks for tuning in.